more reliable partner in the United States. There's no question that the Biden campaign has very much committed, again, on day one to get the United States back into the Paris Accord, has put out a plan to spend somewhere between $1.7 and $2 trillion in investing in clean energy and innovation around decarbonization and, actions on methane and stricter fuel economy standards and a whole series of things. And yes, there is pending in the United States significant legislation that I think is likely to gain support from a Biden administration to impose a carbon tax in the United States that would also have as part of it, again, an import border adjustment as well as an export rebate. I think different from the European system in that it would be a straight up tax on carbon. The most likely one is going to be one that taxes, as they call it, wellhead mine mouth, meaning it taxes the carbon as it comes out of the ground. So you would be taxing oil, coal, natural gas as it comes out of the ground. A very high tax. The presumption is it then passes through the rest of the economy. So everyone pays as it gets passed along, kind of like a value-added tax, but this is a kind of a carbon-added tax that passes on with a border adjustment, meaning a tax on imports and an export rebate that would go to those companies that are in these energy-intensive areas. Again, and they're the same intensive energy industries that are subject to the European emissions trading system. So I think that is, again, at least a very real possibility coming out of the United States when we have a different administration.
Right. You mentioned, and we don't have much time, so I'm just going to ask you to answer very shortly. But basically, the advantage of this well-mouth tax that where you charge energy directly, so you don't have to calculate the whole footprint for the product downstream. It's just automatically passed on, as you said. But then you do have to calculate the footprint if you adjust it on imports, right?
Correct. Yes. And the good news, I think, is there's been a lot of work done, and I'm sure everyone in Europe is well aware of this too. I mean, we've advanced a lot in the last couple decades on how do you calculate how much actual GHG emissions were in this particular ton of steel. There's international standards that we never used to have. In the United States, for Environmental Protection Agency reporting purposes, we have a lot of data now that we didn't used to have. We have a lot of methodologies. We have a much better way to do that exact kind of tracing where you really can say, this ton of steel resulted in X amount of GHG emissions, and there is a much better tracing mechanism.
So it is feasible.
So it's feasible. It is not easy. It's complicated, but it's feasible.
Great. This is all the time we have. Just to end, I would like to, since we've been raising hands during this whole discussion, one last time to do the hand raising. It's basically to answer yes or no to 3 questions. Show of hands if you agree, and don't raise your hand if you don't agree. Will the EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism be expanded to other sectors in the future than just steel, cement, and electricity? Okay. Will it bring money into EU coffers? And if we repeat this discussion with the 4 of you in 2023, will this be already enforced? Will the EU have a carbon border measure? Okay. Thanks very much. This is all the time we have. This was a really great discussion. We heard a lot about the details on how this tax would be done, on the legal effects, on the political effects, on the transatlantic relationship. And I hope we can do this again. Thanks, Frank, Diederik, Jennifer, and Kathleen. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.